What is going on, guys? Another week, another video. We are back in the old trusty studio, back home in Zurich, Switzerland as well, after last week's race at Challenge Samorin, which was my first race of the season and was nice to get that out of the way. Now all my learnings, had quite a few of those, and I want to take you through the whole race, from tactics, the data, we're going to look at that, everything that I learned since then, what I'm going to change and what I'm going to keep the same. And we are going to go through it now. So we as triathletes, normally we are pretty hard on ourselves. We are normally not the ones that need to be pushed or that need to be told what went wrong and all. So I think it's really important to start with the positives first, because all of us are so driven to look at the things that went wrong and find the details, and that's part of the charm of the sport, right? Always have something to fix. You're never done, even on what level, even on the highest level, you will never be done. You will always find things to improve, and that is the fun of the sport. So that's really cool. So really important that, first of all, keep it really subjective, the analysis of it. Especially if you're a beginner going into the sport, you will see some people are really focused on the outcome, which is the results only. And that actually will not lead to your best improvement and not the biggest fun either in the sport, not long term for sure. Because if you're only outcome driven, that's not really gonna get you very far. So super important that you keep a subjective analysis of what you did, everything that you trained for. Could you show that on race day? And we're gonna go through that now. Okay, so first, overall general pros. One thing I'm really happy about, that I've been suffering from allergy and asthma for all my life basically, and now it's the first race, I would say, in the middle of summer, and it was full of pollen and grass. Fresh cut grass was there, the sun was out, pollen were on my bike afterwards. I saw it, and I wasn't limited with my lung. Normally I was like wheezing and and then I didn't know, am I slowing down, or is that the performance I'm actually capable of or not? I couldn't rule it out. But now finally I can breathe normally. I can breathe fully in with my lung and out. I love it, and that's a big plus, and that's something I was really nervous about, to be honest, especially for Frankfurt. Frankfurt is in the middle of the summer. The grasses and pollen are still growing strong. Something like Hawaii and Florida and all those other races, there's no issue, not really the issue there. But the pollen there, that's something one I'm super happy about. Then the heat as well. Heat was in general no issue. It wasn't like crazy hot, but it was like 25. And people say anyways, with better fitness, you cope much better with the heat. And I can say that's true. I didn't even feel it in any way hot, although we were all day in the sun. So the Trimtex tree suit really kept me cool as well. Has a real cool cooling material here in the front. And although it was black, really no issue at all. Felt super good there. But let's get knee deep into each of the disciplines, and we're gonna start with a swim. So before I hopped in the water, I decided to put the tri suit all the way up under the wetsuit, because to be honest, I think it takes quite a long time to put the tri suit on. Sometimes you don't get in, you see people ripping the zipper even off, and I was super happy with the Trimtex tri-suit. That also no issues there. I didn't feel my shoulders in any way restricted, although I had the suit under the wetsuit, and that's not a given. That's not the case with all of the suits. For me, it fitted perfectly. Then, start of the swim, I went in there in the first row. I was just really focused, to be honest, on doing my own thing. We'll come to that later. Maybe a bit too much, to be honest. I'm not coming from a swim background, right? I've done quite a lot of work over the last years to have the confidence and also the ability to even say I start in the first row. That wasn't always the case. My first Ironman swim, 2012, was a 1:11 or 1:12, 1 hour 12, not seconds, 1 hour 12 with a wetsuit. So I've come a long way now to come fourth out of the water in my age group there in 28-22, the high current swim, not really a super fast swim. But when it came to the swim, to be honest, looking back, I definitely didn't swim hard enough. Like, not at all. We can look at that later with the data and all. Just really in the Ironman groove, to be honest. But afterwards you're always smarter. But when I was in the race, really, I was just thinking about, hey, with the stroke especially, right, mechanically, I didn't want to be the guy that just thrashes the arms around for 400 meters, gets the breathing up, gets the lactate up. That's what I did in the past a lot, and probably a lot of you guys do as well. 400 meters in, you're full of lactate, you're just full of heavy breathing, you're going backwards, and that's not what you want to do. So I kept it really controlled, strong out, and after 400 meters, everybody around me kind of went backwards. I kept swimming 600-700 meters. Every now and then looked on the left side, on the right was no one. On the left, and then there was one or two guys who were on the left, and kept swimming next to him for a while. And then I decided, okay, it's kind of doesn't make any sense here. I'm not going much quicker than them. So I just jumped on the train, jumped on the feet, was in third there, and just kind of stayed there until the end. On the way back, I felt like, oh, this is really so slow. This is almost a bit boring. Really low heart rate. I can tell this wasn't even an Ironman effort. I mean, if I had to get a ranking, it was oh my god, maybe a 5 out of 10. So really low effort. Like, that's something you have to learn through racing, and also especially 70.3. That's basically full gas. But you have to practice that. Afterwards, you're always smarter. But I was really just so cautious of not messing up my stroke, to be honest. That's something I was really thinking about. So now I have to find a middle ground between keeping a quality stroke and also having effort, right? There's a middle between that. There's a fine line, because if you go too much towards effort, you will start doing, I will start doing crap again and push down in the water and in front of the stroke, and I will not definitely swim faster, but have higher effort. So that's a fine line. Then we got nicely out of the water, super fresh. Afterwards, should have pushed it more, learning for next time. Already now the swims after I did, I worked significantly harder, that my arms hurt and everything. So that's a good learning, because you have to trust that the mechanical adaptations you did with drills and all, that they last and that you do not mess up the stroke. And it works now. But I mean, it was a great swim, got out of the water, super fresh, sprinted through transition. Actually got out of the bike, was actually then overtook the two guys. Went out on the bike first, went out, and we can look a bit at that. So generally the bike, everything went, except for the one part that I will look at now with you guys with the files here. Went everything quite good. I mean, I'm super happy with the gear. Again, positives first, right? Super happy with my gear. The setup of the bike is good. Tire pressure, helmet, suit especially, super happy with the Trimtex suit, because normally when I went out of the water, even when I zipped it up, it was kind of flapping in the wind, which is kind of aerodynamic death. You know, when you're in the bars and you have this thing flapping around here and the wind comes in here because it's wet. That wasn't the case, and it just had no stretch marks, no cuts anywhere. I felt really comfortable, and the rest of the gear also really well. But now with the issue, that was kind of the main thing. The first hour of the bike, I would say, come, let's have a look at the data while we're in it. So now we are here in my training peaks. This here is the race week. As you see here, on Sunday is the race. Leading in, nothing special, some light quality stuff. Just keeping the body active. But then on the race itself, the swim I just put in there. I didn't have my watch on. Actually, on purpose, I don't put the watch on, because I don't really want to see the swim time coming out, because I think it can affect me more negative than positive, to be honest, in most cases. So I just want to be, whatever the time is, it is. I don't want to be focusing on about the past and just focus on the transition and go on. So let's look at the cycling power here. So that's the right. I did a 211 for 93k almost. Not the fastest bike course, I have to say. I mean, it's flat. If there's no wind, it's incredibly fast. They changed it a bit, but you could see with the pros, I mean, last year they did 154, and now the fastest guy I think did 201, so it's like quite a bit slower, 7 minutes. So that has mainly to do with on the way back, when you drove here, when you drove out, I can look at that here. When you drove out, there was a tailwind, but also some bumpy sections a little bit, and then on the way back all the way you had a headwind, crosswind. And when you look at my power here, that's all, to be honest, when I arrived at the finish line, because I knew I did everything I could with the day. Also tactically and all, I can tell you on the bike there was some tactics, on the run as well, some cool things happening. I raced it as well as I could. That's why on purpose I didn't want to see the results, I didn't want to see the times. I just want to, for like 10 minutes, soak in, okay, you did everything you could before you start to go into the data. And I know my ego, I know my brain, it immediately starts dissecting everything, and no matter what the outcome is, right? I could win the age group, then I would see, hey, there's 5 other guys in front of me. If I would be first in age group overall, I would look at the pros. If you're the first pro, I would say, hey, the other best guys weren't here. So unless it's world champs, it's a never-ending story, and the outcome, to be honest, is that's not the main driver for me. Of course, it's important, and it can be an extra motivator to win stuff, and that's super important, and winning is incredible. And I didn't win, so I'm especially more hungry now, second place in age group, right? But when you look at the bike power, that's actually for me pretty poor. I mean, if you look at the overall thing, I basically did everything Ironman pace, exactly. So when you have a look at that here. So 284 normalized power. Before I thought, hey, I had, for example, on a trainer sessions, 300, 310 watts. I had under 150 heart rate, right? I thought, hey, this is no issue at all to do that. But the issue is not my aerobic fitness. It's not the pump or anything like that. And I did also, because I knew before, hey, having being in the aero position so long can be an issue. That's a tricky one. So I trained for the last 6-8 months so much in aero position indoors. Here comes the tricky one, indoors. And that is not the same as outdoors. I mean, you do sit differently on it. That I noticed here. I do sit a touch differently on it, and I'm not trained for outdoor riding aero. I'm not. That's one for sure. So the first hour I actually had these weird, quite strong pains in the calf hamstrings, which was a bit of a downer. So when we look at the first half, quite significant pain. So let's say the first hour, like wrong pain, not like muscle burning pain, like nasty pain. So then I thought, shit, is my low back maybe from swimming, or is it the aero position? So there I had like 279 watts normalized power. Then the second half was a bit more, I believe, 288, yeah, so a bit more. Into the headwind as well. So when you're in the race, there's nothing you can influence to do that. I tried to stretch a bit the back and all, but it didn't really help. After an hour, I got a bit better. So from that, you can kind of say it's probably not bike positional. But afterwards now I checked with John Middlewick, Carbon Endurance. He's one of the best bike fitters I know. We went through it. We went 1 millimeter up with the saddle, which also moves it back. And I did now intervals outside. I checked it with you. That was a bit funny actually. Bike position, outdoor riding, that's the key one I have to do. And so I wasn't sure if it's a low back or not. So I also with the swim training now, I made sure that I integrated sighting, like more sighting, because you touch in a swim like 100 times. You do sighting for your low back, this extension. I do that in the gym, but it's not the same as outdoor in open water swimming. So I integrated that now. That's a learning from the swim for sure. More sighting work. Because that really disrupts your stroke if you don't know it well. That's that, but yeah, I mean, that's why on purpose I didn't film before the key session I had now last Saturday, because it's easy to say, oh yeah, this is your Ironman power, but I had a feeling this is my Ironman power. I mean, this is really, I did 3 hours, 250 watts indoors, and was 1.3 lactate and super easy, so something didn't feel right there. I mean, the time overall is still fast relative to age group, whatever, but like I said, if I would just look at the outcome, I'm second, everything is good, everything's great. It's not. I mean, it's really the performance wise, and that's what I measure from. When we just talk about performance, I didn't do tremendous in terms of 70.3. On the way to Ironman, this is a really good sign. I should tell you why. And overall, I had, of course, tons of fun. I enjoyed it, and the tactics of it were really cool, racing. But let's have a look at the ride 1 week later. So let's have a look here, just 2-3 days easy. I had quite a bit of fatigue still in because the Monday travel was a bit too tight. But then here the Saturday, that was a 4-hour ride with 4 to 6 times 30-minute Ironman power. And I wanted to do 6 times 30 minutes, so basically 3 hours. Yeah, and if you have a look at those 30-minute ones, for example, this one here, 286 watts, 30 minutes, 286 watts, 30 minutes, and it was supposed to be Ironman effort, right? 146 heart rate, then later again, 286. Yeah, and all those basically. I rode 70.3 in Samorin at Ironman power because I don't know, I couldn't rev it up more, to be honest. I don't think I have the strength and the conditioning for 70.3 to do that, but there's also some bike work I gotta do more, of course. But yeah, anyway, so I did now 3 hours at what was supposed to be Ironman effort, and turns out it's the same power as last weekend's 70.3. So that is super promising for Ironman, because I ran off that 1 hour easy, super easy running, as easy as I could basically, with a bit up and down, and felt really good. So that was a 5 hour with an hour swim, 6 hour day, and it felt really good. So yeah, I'm excited for Frankfurt. I'm pretty excited for Frankfurt, but I'm pretty unconditioned for 70.3, I gotta say that. To be honest, I was never really good at 70.3. I never felt like for what I'm made for, I need to train like an ITU guy. You really gotta rev it up so high. Even with age group great age group racing, you saw other guys. I mean, I ran down 122 after, high 122. It's a bit shorter course even. the guys ran on that course 116, 115, 114, I believe, age grouper. And that is a slow course, right? I thought, for example, that run course is a bit of grass and otherwise street. Man, that course is 80% grass and this sand like horse track thing and curves and all. So it's safe to say it's like 2-3 minutes slower. Even more impressive for the first guy to run 110, Gustav. That is seriously impressive, a 110 on that course. Really cool to see. But yeah, that's that from that side. Then from the bike, the tactics, that was actually pretty fun. About 55k in. No, it was a bit before, 45k, a bit before the turnaround, 40k. 2 guys came past. Before that I was just overtaking. 2 guys came past, but not in a way that they like were flying away, impossible to go with. So I just rode with them. It's cool, the 20-meter draft line there. It's really, you ride the same power you feel when you go in and out of gaps. There are no power changes, it's the same. It's really cool. And then, I felt the one guy that was in front, he had like a Ryzen suit. I felt he was working a touch too hard. You could see it kind of, he was grunting, he was getting out of the saddle. And now it comes to tactics and the mind games. And then it was turnaround point and I could see his face. And his face was like a grimace, like teeth gritting. I was really chilling my ass off, as you see. Apparently it was Ironman power. So, and then I saw, okay, then I make kind of a tactical decision. Okay, now I say until, 60k or 70k, I ride with them. More as a mental thing, kind of just to have someone and ride with, because it's really lonely out there. It's like the headwind and all, and the crosswind coming from all sides. So you just ride with them. It's like age groupers in overtaking and all that stuff. But then at about 65k suddenly came like a sign, because I said, hey, then I'm gonna blast them away. I know they're suffering way more than me, that guy. So just as a tactical thing, just fun racing, right? I don't know if it was my age group or any of that, I have no idea. But just racing and learning a bit the tactics. And then suddenly at 65k the crosswind came. I felt it, but I also saw it on the grass that is moving from a crosswind. And I saw him twice getting in the air position, like the butt up, so like really showing discomfort. And then I said, okay, and then I committed, hey, for like, for 10 minutes, it was 1 hour 30, you're gonna commit and you fully push strong, keep it strong and honest. And then for 10 minutes, of course you don't look back, you can't do that. That shows doubt, so you can't do that. And then after 10 minutes, 140, it's funny, 1 hour 40, you kind of feel that there's no one there anymore. I don't know why. I mean, you can't look back, I don't see back, but I kind of feel there's no one there. And then after 10 minutes, I look back and the road was empty. Both guys were gone. And then I just rode the rest home in transition. Yeah, so learnings from the bike. Definitely, like I said, already rode outside more. The tricky part of why I didn't do it is I didn't find a proper track for that here in the area. So now I have one. It's like a 35-minute drive by car, and then I ride there. I drove 150k back and forth, a 30k loop, but it's as safe as it gets here. You can do TT the full 30 minutes. It's all I need now for training. It's perfect, and otherwise it's quite dangerous here. You can't really in Switzerland do that. Otherwise, it's hard. Very easy to get hit by cars because the drivers are very impatient and don't like cyclists very much, no matter where you go here, to be honest. So that's that. Yeah, so for Ironman, I think I'm on a good path here with the Ironman efforts and the power and all. Super excited to see that 285. And I think it might even go to 290. We'll see, because I feel like I have some adjustments going. But either way, it's going to be great. It is what it is now. It's last 2 weeks of tough training, and then I kind of ramp it down a bit to Frankfurt and recover as good as I can, and then that's it. But let's go towards the run. So run here. Yeah, I came off the bike. Yeah, my glutes and stuff, they were pretty worked from not being used to the air position there. That's a wrist heart rate there, so don't be too certain of that, but I think it's not too different anyways. So 169, my zone 2 goes until 167. So I'm just over zone 2 there. Before I was thinking, okay, maybe I can rev it up. That was really one of my goals. I want to rev it up to like a higher pace, 340, and really push it. But I really tried. That was my goal before. I really want to rev it up. But I'm there, that's just black and white. I'm not conditioned to do that with the current training, because I'm on the way to an Ironman. And to be honest, if I could rev it up extremely high now, I would probably not be super conditioned for Ironman. But it's easy. It is what it is now. but I'm pretty confident that basically this was almost Ironman pace, maybe a touch slower. Yeah, there were some funny things still happening at the end of the run. So I was running, first one guy, the first guy who eventually won, he ran 1:17 there, really good runner, chatted to him afterwards, Weitz duathlon champion, really cool guy, and he deserved to win. He overtook me at about 14, maybe 10k into the run. We made a bit of a surge, and then I thought he bluffed me because he went quite fast, and then I saw him kind of staying 200 meters in front. Then I thought, maybe he just bluffed because it was, still 11k to go. I thought, I'm gonna get him. And then I checked a bit the distances. You can check, let's say you're running somewhere and you see him at a certain fence over there, and then you count how many seconds does it take you from your place where you are, you check the time, to the point where you see the guy. So then you kind of have the distance. So first the distance was 30 seconds. And then I kept pushing with what I could, not very fast, but Ironman legs. But then the gap grew, 50 seconds eventually, and then I knew, okay, he's a goner. But then later, at about, when was that, 18k, I heard another guy kind of breathing down my neck. I didn't know if he was my age group or not. To be honest, I don't care. I just want to race. I want to race everybody and try to beat everybody. That's just part of racing. It's fun. And then that guy, he didn't came flying. He didn't run 5 minutes quicker than the first guy did. He kind of came creeping closer. He tried to. I felt him working with corners and so on. I never looked directly, but I kind of sensed him. About 18k, he was really, really close behind me. I was running in a flat. It was 350 pace on a not the grass section. And then I on purpose slowed down a bit to 4 minute pace, so I touched down, slowed it down a bit, because I knew he would pull up right beside me, and that was my goal, kind of just tactics. I knew as soon as he pulled right next to me, I'm gonna flipping go. I'm gonna push and go as hard as I can, sprint for 300 meters. That was the plan, and that's what happened. So he came right next to me, and when you're the hunter, you just have to go, I want to pull up to the guy. You're not gonna fly past him unless you feel incredibly amazing, but he was really kind of at the same level as me. So I knew everything from this point on is 100% mental. It has nothing to do with physical or anything. He runs the same pace, maybe a few seconds quicker on average, but it's basically the same now. It's 3k out. We're all in a level play field here. So he pulled up next to me. He should have gone behind, but tactically he did a mistake. He went next to me, thought I could just take the guy. This huge guy there running. But then I pushed it, 320 pace or whatever, sprinting you can call that, at the end there. But then he didn't crack fully, so he stayed 20-30 meters behind. But then I had to kind of push it home all the way till the finish line. He was right behind me. Turned out he wasn't my age group, but like I said, it doesn't really matter. I just want to race people, and yeah, so I beat that guy. That was fun. Yeah, so that's kind of an inside look from the race, and that's a bit what I meant with the battle there going on. There were 2 run battles a bit, and it was super fun to race. I really enjoyed that, and if somebody's better on you on a day, it's absolutely no problem. But for Ironman, I'm now pretty confident, especially after last weekend, that I am very well conditioned for Ironman. So I'm really excited for that. Just got to rev it up more on a swim. Have the confidence, because I have the engine for sure, also in the water, 100%. Not gonna blow up or anything like that. I can really rev it for the 3.8k. I can really push it. So 3 overall learnings from the race. That's a lot of talk, guys, sorry. But I wanna get you an inside look what happened there exactly. The 3 main learnings. So the first one is the bike power, aero pain kind of thing. I had to figure out. I wasn't sure if it's a low back thing I kind of knew it wasn't aero position, because 2 days after the race I rode outside and I had 0 pain like that. But then I thought, maybe it's a low back thing in the wetsuit. That can sometimes happen when people, I had it in the past. When you're in the wetsuit, you kind of hang in there a bit, and then you do the sighting, the extension of the low back, and you're not used to that. And that can kind of irritate the nerves a bit in the low back. So I thought, shit, is it still that again? So I integrated sighting in all my swims now, just in a warm-up in 25 meters, I do sighting. So I'm really conditioned to doing that motion. Fixed the bike position with John Middlewick, bike fitter. Fixed that, went 1 millimeter up, but otherwise it's perfect now. It's really great. But then, it's funny, I did the 6 times 30 minute Ironman pain, and I had the same pain in the first hour. And I was actually happy, because I thought, great. It's definitely not the low back from swimming. So it must be, because it was calf and hamstring and glutes, but really not sore or anything, but it really this kind of deep fatigue pain. It's kind of hard to tell if it's nerve or not, but now no, it's not nerve, because I think 2 years ago I did have that. I have to change my massage therapist basically, because I need to go to the other guy that I know it's just a bit further away. That's why I avoided it. But you need to go really deep in to get because it needs a lot of strength and the right technique. Like with any profession, it's hard to go really deep into the calf, the hamstring, the glutes. So there's a lot of fatigue in there at the moment, which we didn't get out with normal massage. So I will get on that. And I remember I had that before, and then afterwards I went on the aero, I had zero pain. So I'm on a good path, I'm happy. So that's basically it. And harder swimming. Yeah, harder swimming. I just gotta swim harder, to be honest. Not be over analyzing every single stroke, that like, hey, be you scared of doing like bad technique stuff. You gotta find a middle ground between effort and quality technique and stroke, of course. A middle ground there. Not anymore all the way on the side of, hey, you just gotta swim like an angel, but like a little bit more towards effort. Fine line. That's what I'm gonna do. And then, yeah, that's it for the race. If you have any more questions, anything you wanna know, anything you wanna see, let me know in the comments below. By the way, also I have a weekly free newsletter. I put all my training data in there at my top 3 learnings of the week. You can subscribe for free. It comes every Sunday evening, like a nice little thing for to get your brain in the sport mode for the coming week, so you're not thinking about work or anything like that. It's just like a 30-second read probably, and that's it. No spam or anything like that. Once a week, all the data of my training and stuff. And yeah, cool. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, comment below, and I see you next week. Ciao, ciao. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. You can really help me out if you like and subscribe, push your notification bell, comment below what you want to see next, and I see you in the next video.